Hello there. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing all right. Just had to restart this, so it is a couple of minutes later than it should have been, just because I had a bit of a problem getting the chat to appear. But I've got it working now. Here we go. So, first thing I'm going to start with, while I'm just waiting for people to join, is I have my lovely subscribers on Patreon. Really appreciate their support and what they do. I sent in a message to all of them to say if you've got any suggestions as to what you'd like to me to have a look at for you. And the first person to come back to me here wanted me to have a look at Battle of Fornost and also Last Alliance at 700 points. Yes, Alex, hello, good evening. It is working now, good. Never had that problem with it before, but hey ho, got it sorted pretty quick anyway. Hopefully you can see the screen okay. And the first point I was just discussing, I will just repeat myself here for a moment, is just to say, Ian and Glorfindel, you generally always want to mount them. I don't think I've ever seen anyone build it where they're not mounting them. However, I think there is an argument to be had that Ian loses his horse very, very easily. You're paying this 30 points for it. It doesn't have horse lord or any way to protect it. So I think there is at least an argument to be had that you could bury him in your lines, give him a space support. He's guaranteed always to have 4 attacks then. And he'll be near a banner likely as well. Your problem, however, is he is only going to be stuck at strength 4. But you've got Glorfindel to the damage there. But because you get fight 5 knights in this, well, maybe you want to run in with the knights. You generally want Ian and Glorfindel to link up and do the killing for you. So I think for now, let's put them as you should have them, really, and have them both mounted. But if we're going for 700 points, we're already at 320. So you've got the option of taking Cédane, which takes you to 400, giving you 300 points for troops, meaning you're going to be light on mobility. You could go for Aranath, and he gives you 3 might, another strike, a bit of a shooting as well. But you're then missing out on March as well. I think as good as Cédane is, I think these two are very, very good. I think maybe just the extra might in the list that you're not spending that much for. But then it's a question of, do you take a Minas Tirith captain or do you take a Rivendell captain? So Rivendell captain gives you the fight 6 on a normal dude, which is kind of nice. He's got better courage as well for sticking around. A bit of woodland creature, but you've got the all-important March that is probably going to be pretty useful to you. Whereas if you go for the captain of Minas Tirith, you've got a slightly higher defense. I'm interested, you can take it with a shield, so the captain can still get to D7 as well. Whereas this one is D7, D8 in shield wall. Other than that, really the 10 points you're paying is getting you +2 courage, +2 intelligence, and +1 fight value. I think the 10 points is probably worth it. I think I'd probably go for a Rivendell captain. And if I'm right in saying you can only include elves in elven-led warbands. Now, your other alternative building this is you could always go Ranger of the North and get yourself some hobbits in there. Sometimes it feels a bit of a trap. You've got 18 slots with each of them. It does feel a lot. But again, it gives you March, which you're not going to have otherwise. Rangers don't have it, sadly. I don't think Glorf has it. No. And I don't think Ian has it. No. So I think that probably is the way to go. And yes, Alex, right, you've sent quite a few things through. I love it. So Gandalf and Angbor, 650 Pelennor list. I'll certainly try and do that for you. I've been trying to do that myself, and it is hard to get a banner in there. And Ingold, I'll get on to him. We'll discuss him. Same with Irolas as well. There's a few different choices that I've messed around with and done quite a bit of practicing with, and I've kind of made conclusions on a few of these. Halbrad's a fantastic 6-inch banner. I'll have to come on to him. Gandalf Aragorn is just too expensive for 650, 100%. It's tough to get Gandalf in general at 650. I'm not sure how to pronounce this name. Magic Zenisizu, maybe I'm wrong. Sounds Polish, perhaps. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll come on to those though for you, Alex, absolutely. And Magic, if you've got any suggestions, put them below. You'll be, I've got 2 of my Patreon subscribers. I'm just going to go through what we've discussed with them. I'll then get on to Alex's, and then if you have some suggestions yourself, I'll get onto them as well. You'll be 4th in the queue. Magic Sis. Sure, there we go. In English. Was it right? Was it Polish? Just out of curiosity. So getting on to this then. So let's get these warbans. I think we'll try and get a couple of knights in first. I think this list, and with playing it myself a little bit to try and help a friend of mine that was trying to run this, I think you want a lot of elves because otherwise you've got no hitting power. The tin cans are nice and cheap, but they don't do much. 2-hand, they can do you damage. If you come up with a defense 6 army otherwise, you're just going to bounce off each other, and you're really heavily relying then on your couple of heroes really pulling all the weight for you, which they can't always. Also, the elves have got better courage as the front line anyway, so I think you go elves. So let's try that then. So we're going to get 6 elves first of all. Start it off like that. We've also got the Rivendell captain, so I think we do similar with him. Let's see what points this is getting to. So if I do 6 is probably a lot. Let's do 4. And then we'll give him a few bows if we can. I'm running out of points already though, look at that. Now the knights are fight 5 in this list, and you want some cavalry, but because I've gone for the more expensive captain, I think we're going to have to drop that, otherwise we're not going to get a banner in. I think we're already struggling on a banner. Yeah, we are, look at that. And this list is one of those lists that really does want a banner. So I think we're going to find it hard because I'm only on 29 models. I'm not happy with that. I think really you can't go for the captain unless you're at 750 points. So let's change that then, because I think that's a pretty standard build. You need to do that. We'll go for some more elves. Gets up to 17. Although there's no bows now. I suppose you want a couple of elven bows perhaps. Do that, that'll allow me to get 3 in. Let's see how that works out for points. 3 elf balls in. I'll think about that. You can give a warhorn to a Hobbit Archer. I did not know that. That is new. I think forget the elf balls in this case. Let's go for more guys. Could get more knights in as well, but I think we're better off just getting some more might in the list. And it does feel a bit of a trap getting 12 hobbits in a list. Maybe I can reduce that and get me some knights in instead. 30 points, that'd be about right. And I could give both of these a spear. Now that feels decent to me for Fornost. Ian and 5 fight 5 knights when they're charging. That feels. Alan, hello, good evening, Alan. Yeah, he dies every time, doesn't he? Ian his horse, absolutely. That's what I'm thinking. But thematically, you'd probably want him on his horse and running him with a knight. I know if you're talking about pure competitiveness and to make him a more protected leader, being on a smaller base. Because sometimes the strategy with Ian isn't actually to kill his horse. If you can win priority or get him out of might, having a big base allows you to get more into him and make sure you definitely get that kill on the D7 leader. Whereas if he's in the line, maybe he's more protected. So Laser Goblin Shark, subscriber for me that suggested this. This is how I'd build it if you did want to have Ian mounted. 35 models is a good model count. Yes, you need to protect the hobbits, but you do have a lot of mobility in the list that could protect them quite well if your opponent tries to make a bit of a push for them. You've got a really solid central line here of 17 elves with a banner. That'll be very, very tough to break down. Everything D6 in there as well. If, however, we take him off his horse, I think we can change this build a bit as well. So let's do that. Knock the knights down a little bit. And we could also maybe then give him a bit of a Minas Tirith contingent. maybe reduce the hobbits down to 2 each, because we're going to get more models in with this. It's not perfect for points. Drop an elf, what does that do for us? It's not getting us enough, really. I'll have to drop another one of them, or I can just get in an extra knight. That could feel pretty good. Does Ian have shield wall? Interestingly, he doesn't. Very interesting. But that will be an interesting alternative build. So having him now in your lines, 110 points as a leader is not as big a tax than paying 140 for him on his armoured horse. He'd be nicely within this line. Shield wall. You've then got a bigger infantry block as well. He's going to have a banner and a spear at all times, so he should be very reliable and survivable. You've still got 4 knights that are still +1 when they charge. Good evening, Tim, and Aidan as well, Hunsler. Thanks for joining us. I like this comment, Tim. Glorf, Ian, Max Compt, Max Knights of Minas Tirith and a banner, big charge. I get it, yeah, I love it. You'll have a quick game, definitely. But I like getting my money's worth at a tournament. I like a nice balanced list with some formations. So this you reduce the archery a little bit, but Ian will be a lot more protected. It'd be a lot harder to get those VPs off you for maybe wounding him, but killing him, definitely you'd deny them that more often than not. Glorfindle's still a mega threat. Personally, I think if I was playing it myself, I might try this than the other one, because the other one has got too many squishy hobbits to get the numbers up, but you kind of need those numbers there. And I don't think you need that many balls in this list anyway. You've got such high defense. If they've got a shooting army, you're probably going to get into combat with them and do some damage to them. So we'll leave it there for Fornos. Hopefully, Laser Goblin Shark, you're happy with that. Let's now go to his second request, which is the Last Alliance. So for anyone listening here, appreciate there's a few I need to get through. You've done a few requests, but I promise I'll go back up the chat and I'll make sure I get through everyone. And Peter Frame, welcome, sir, to the chat, but absolutely not. You never need a Barrow White in a list. Any list that contains Barrow Whites is competitive without taking them. They are the no-skill way of playing the game. You're not going to become a better player using them. It's all jokes, I agree, but I'll still make my case anyway. Barrow Whites suck to play or play against. So, Last Alliance. So his request here was he'd like to try and build Last Alliance at 750 points. And he's not really too bothered about the heroes, just wants to try and see which I think would be the best way of building it for 750. So you've got a few choices here. So Isildur is an initial thought because you've got the ring, and he's probably the best ring bearer, perhaps, in my opinion. The fact he's got the fight 7, and he doesn't need any help in the fight to get people down for him to guarantee be higher than whatever he's up against. He's hand and a half, strength 5. He's got the might to make sure he wins the duel. He's just very, very good. Resistant to magic as well is always nice as well on a big hero. And if he puts it on, he can't be targeted either. But it's also hard to look past Elendil because Elendil gives you 3 combats. And he's fight 8, which is, there's not many. There's him and Glorfindel. And what, Troll Chieftains? Bears and Guahir. I think that's about it. The Endrin Master, welcome. Hello there. Khan Dum, 700 points. Yeah, I'd love to do that for you. 100%. I definitely think there's some competitive viability to Khan Dum, 700 and lower. I don't think you ever want to run them higher than 700. I think maybe 600, 650 is their optimum level. We'll 100% get onto that, though, for you, definitely. So let's first of all try it with Elendil, because it gives you more warband space, even though really you want more elves in this list. Because he is so expensive, we'd maybe try Eristor and a Rivendell captain, and that gives you You can always mount it as well if you want to give yourself a bit of hitting power and mobility. I don't think there's anything else you can mount in this list. I think Isildur you can mount, but then he does lose his horse if you give Elrond a horse as well, actually. Interesting. So your choices for me would really be you go Elrond Isildur, or you go something like this. This one will be a good way of maxing out your numbers. So let's try that first. So these are going to be your mainline guys. You want as many elves as possible in this list because your special rule gives you the potential 6 when anyone charges you. If I reduce that down to 4, I can give him the banner as well, but it also allows us to get 3 elf bows in the list, and it's a really beautifully constructed warband. That's how I like it for a 12. With this one, I think I've maybe given them an extra spear. They can just stay near the banner to make sure I've always got someone to pass it on to, and then get another 3 elf bows in there. So we're at 644 now, but it's kind of forcing us then to take some Numenorians. You don't want them on the front line. You'd really just want them as supports. Maybe take a few longbows, but then they are very squishy targets for your opponent to go after. I think it's probably safer if you keep them near the line. You probably don't need to be doing too much shooting in this list. So if we do that, see how many that gets us to. It's 2 points for that. How much is it for a longbow? Is it 2? It's just 1, isn't it? So we can maybe go something like that. And that's nice and balanced. It's 37 models I managed to get to for 750 points. Got 7 might on the board, a free combating fight 8 leader. Eristor does nice little stuff. You've got March in here and a little mobility in the list, which it badly needs. You do have 11 bows now, which is a bit of a nice shooting threat, so it forces your opponent to come to you. And then you can force them to run into your 6s or stand there and get shot. That feels like a good list. So Laser Goblin Shark, that one should be one to try. If we switch it around and go with the other way of thinking, let's try Elrond and Isildur. I think you'd probably want Elrond as your leader because you want to be quite aggressive with Isildur. And I'd maybe put in a Rivendell captain, but this time we won't mount them. I won't mount Isildur as well, I don't think. Give him the ring for definite. Elrond, let's mount Elrond. So let's see how we go with this one. So this might be more difficult. I don't think my model count will be as high with this one. But we'll see what we can do. So we do that. Get ourselves a banner in there as well. So you want banner if you're elves. Oh, I just duplicated it. Whoops. Oh no, that was correct. Sorry. What am I doing? So let's get 3 elf bows in there. And we want a lot of elves. So let's focus on getting the elf count up as far as it can be. Let's get some more elf bows in again as well. Because if people want to try and shut down your shooting and charge you, then it forces them to run into your potential 6s. And then from here, it's not amazing for the points cost. So I give them that, and it's then not going to add up very well mathematically for me. I could maybe drop 1 elf here, but again, I've gone over. It's not good. Yeah, I don't like that. Can get another elf in there, and then just go slightly more aggressive on these, but then my points isn't great. I'm not happy with that. Give the Rivendell captain a shield. There we go. Okay, I'm a bit happier with it now. So this one feels like you've got a bit more of a threat with your heroes. You're not as reliant on Elendil being your only real hitting threat. Elrond gives you a lot of utility, very survivable leader. He's got more fate than Elendil as well. You've got your Wrath of Brunans in the list now, and having him on a horse is more of a threat than just a captain. You've got Isildur that gives you the ring option to take on big things. We've not had to get in as many Warriors of Numenor. We've only got 6 bows now, a little less than we had, but I think it's a better list this because you've got more elves in it. Only 34 models, but then the Rivendell captain gives you March. He's in a shield, in amongst the line. You've got a banner, 2 nice triangles of doom with your shooting. That feels to me like that would be the better of the 2 lists, but you'll have to try both and let me know how you get on with that. So, next one we've got here, the last one from my subscribers, was a request to have a look at building maybe something like a Legions of Mordor or Grand Army of the South. But the main stipulations he gave me was he wanted about 700 points and he wanted me to make a competitive list, including either or the Witch King, a Mummak, or Amber, or a mix from there, including things like Orcs, Harad, Easterlings, whatever we need. So I think the only list that includes all of them is Legions of Mordor, I think. Pretty sure that includes, yes, it does include Amber. Got the Witch King in there. We've also got the Mummak. Now, I don't know with the Mummak. It's very, very good. I've played against it, as you might have heard if you've listened to the tournament podcasts. I don't like how cheap this rule is. It's far, far too good. They're very, very good, but I don't really maybe want to build a list to encourage that. It's very, very janky in the game. It's great to see them on the board. Like the model looks amazing, but it's a very janky model. It doesn't really work with terrain very well. It's not an amazing fit for the game. So I think I'll build you one a bit more, not generic, but, a bit more of a standard battle line. So with the Witch King, he has to come on a Fell Beast in this list. So if you've said 750 points, trying to get both of them in the list, you're already at 410, and then you're going to be very low on might. It's kind of a one or the other situation. If you went with Amber, he gives you a banner. You can also upgrade to Black Dragon. Did I miss that? Oh, it was at the top. There we go. Black Dragons. So I think what you want is Easterling, Halberd, and Shield on the front to save some points. Maybe have 5, 6 of them. Then you want your Black Dragons as the supports for them. So you're paying an extra point, but they give you the fight value. And they can be at the front, always supported by a Black Dragon. And that just guarantees you'll definitely have the fight value in there. And the last thing you probably want then is get yourself a War Drum. It doesn't specify as well, the Easterling War Drum. So it affects everything in the army, which is nice. So now we've gone to Amber. 348 points, we're going towards 700, sorry. So you've got a lot of options in this list. Very, very nice. I think you want something that could shut down opponents a little bit. You've got options like the Golden King. It also gives you another banner in the list. But I think some sort of Ring Wraith. Now, because you've got quite high defense, you probably don't need Shadow Lord to protect you from shooting. If you're taking Amber, who's only a Valor, you could take any of these to be your leader. So you've got Dark Marshal in the list. He's fearless with his aura of command that he can provide your army. Very, very good for late game. It means he's not going to run away. He can also be a 6-inch banner for your warriors. Undying, the name says it all. He doesn't like to die. He could be a nice, safe, survivable leader for you. Personally, I really like the Tainted's little special rules. It takes a good player to get the best out of them. Now, Richard, who suggested me have a look at this for him, I don't know if he owns some of the named Ring Wraiths, but he's got some very good special rules. Dark Marshal's got some very good special rules. I actually like Betrayer as well. Most people bring him just for this Master of Poisons, but I really like that he's got Panic Steed. Puts a bit of threat on your opponent with the horse. It's not about you wounding the horse and Horse Lord coming to save them. They've got to resist it with will, otherwise their horse is bolting. It's pretty good. But he's not an amazing caster. All his stuff's on a 4+. But Black Dart on a 4+ is very good. So it's only a 6-inch range now, but still, it's pretty damn good. Personally, I think the best safe choice is you go for Dart Marshall. He's also fight 6. You have him as your leader. Very, very good. Now, you could continue the theme of keeping a nice, strong front line by going for some Black Numenorians, get some Morannons with shield and spear behind them. And we're not amazingly high on model count right now. Gives you a bit of terror as well that makes the most of his -1. Probably then just want to take something like an Orc Captain. Orc Shaman gives you Fury, but that's not really a benefit in this list. Is it only Morannon Captains? It is only Morannon Captains in this list, so your numbers aren't going to be that high, but it'll be quite an elite force if you go with it. He's already D6 as it is. I don't think you want to waste 5 points doing that for him. But model count's not going to be spectacular. Yeah. Maybe we can't go that heavy on elite stuff and get in another big hero because you're already paying a lot for Ander. Same as if you take the Witch King. At 700 points, you take the Witch King. He's a massive centerpiece for you. But you're really relying on him doing a lot for you. You could just take something like, not the normal Ring Wraith, no. Maybe we'll build it without magic for you then. We'll go for some of the smaller heroes. So Guritz helps you with Maelstrom. He also has a bit of hitting power as well. And there's nothing like Gorbag. There's no cheap 3 might in this list anywhere. You could cheekily try and get in a Great Beast of Gorgoroth, but again, your numbers aren't going to be amazingly high. You do something like this gives you some fight 4. If you face men as well, it goes up to fight 4. You've got strength 4 to do some damage. They can 2-hand at the front with the halberds. They give you the fight 5. You've got a Wardrum to get around the board quick. He covers you for Maelstrom. So you're pretty nicely covered there. I'd maybe just want an extra potential bit of hitting power. If you just stick that in straight away, you've already hit the points level, so I don't think we can go for that. I think you need to be a bit more creative. You want some might in the list, maybe want some hitting power. You've got some options here now. If you go for Raza, I'd be tempted to take some Abrakan Guard. Now they're very low defense, but they do some damage because the 2-handed burly. When the wind fights, they will do damage for you, but you got to keep them behind the line. But because we've got a lot of defense 6 in here, you can keep them behind the lines. They can be your reserve force that can come around and do some damage for you later on. Maybe stick in some spears, and I like just 2 attack models on infantry. And maybe let's knock this down just a little bit. A couple of them, maybe a couple of them. Maybe some more mobility would be useful as well. Bow and War Spear, that is a lot of points though. Strength 3 is not, yeah, you probably want them with a bow and that. That's 13 points and I haven't even given them a weapon. So maybe not. Let's stick to what we were doing there, maybe. An extra spear for Raza. Now that feels like a decent list. So 7 might, 700 points, it's okay. The good thing about the list though is with Ander, he gives you the Lord of Blades, which is he can get a free heroic strike if his opponent tries to do one. And if he kills a general, he gets the might back as well. So you've got a few different things there that work in his favour that hopefully mean you won't have to spend as much might. If you play a Maelstrom game, you won't hopefully be having to use any might because you've got Guritz. And if you're moving second in this army, it's not the end of the world. So you've got a very, very strong battle line. That could work, I think, just from the fact it's 41 models and most of it is D6. All of this is such a difficult high defense block to get rid of. And this is your hitting force. If they try and wrap and trap this, which is the best way to take down a high defense block, these will come out of the side and do the hitting power for you. Haradrim Raiders just give you a little bit of mobility, a little bit of threat. Bit low on bows here. There's a lot of options for Legions of Mordor. If the might's going to be quite low because you're taking quite a big centerpiece, you probably don't want to mess around with Taskmasters. Captains are probably better. Raza is a bit more expensive, but it gives you a few extra little perks. I really rate Gurrit, 65 points for what he brings you. He's only fight 5 against men, but he has to two-hand at strength 5. So if he does win a fight, or you get him into a fight with Ander, for instance, so if him and Ander get into a big hero, they'll do some damage. So hoping you like that, Richard. And we'll leave that one there, sir. You could also go heavy on the Easterlings if you wanted to do like Ander with Dragon Knights. That'd give you a bit of a fight 6 front line. They are a bit squishy with the no fate and no will, I believe. Yeah, no will and no fate, but they are very good, and it'd give you more fight 5 spread across the line. And it's nice that they can use shielding as well, even if they don't have a shield. Anyway, going now back to the chat. Thanks everyone for holding on and be patient there. At the very top of here was Alex Taylor, and we were talking about Defenders of Pelennor. So a list very close to my heart. I've been doing a lot of practicing with and testing with lately. The first question he said was try and get a list at 650 points for the GP. I'm going to that as well, the Grand Prix, so look forward to seeing you there. I was also trying to do... actually, if it is for the Grand Prix, mate, isn't that 625 points, not 650? I'm hoping you're still watching to comment and tell me. But I'm almost certain the Grand Prix is 625, not actually 650. You'll have to confirm for me. Hopefully you're still on. Should be 650. Are you sure? You're on about the Grand Prix at the beginning of February, 7th and 8th of February, right? If you are, I'm almost 100%. Okay, is that tournament? I'm sure it's 625. Do you want to just check the rules pack for us? And just post it in here and let me know. And we'll see. I'll try and build it here for 650. If it is 625, however, though, I've got lists in mind. I've actually been looking at Pelennor for 625 myself. And I do think you can just about make Gandalf work. 650 is difficult for Gandalf because you want to take that third hero, but then you don't quite get the model count up high enough. Whereas at 625, you just take him and one hero. And 7 might feels pretty good for 625. Good evening, Tom, from the Fellowship of Steel. My teammate now. Teams just got released actually today. The form to submit and fill them all in, so we need to get Rich to do that for us. So we were talking about Angbor, weren't we, Alex? So Angbor is a really good profile now compared to the others. So there was somebody else asking as well about the other Minas Tirith profiles. So if you compare Angbor at 70 points to the other alternatives, so you've got Beregond, who you think would work really nicely with... Alex, right, you're saying 620 at 660. What have I mixed that up with then? So that is 100% 650. There's nothing else in the rules pack. Maybe, does it not say it anywhere else at all? Normally it'll say this event is this number of points. That might be from an old template, that paragraph perhaps. Or maybe the 625 that I saw was from an old paragraph, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, with Beregond, you think, it'd probably work pretty well with Gandalf. You're getting to re-roll all fail to wounds if he is near Pippin within 3 inches. But because he's not very mobile, and Gandalf really is, then he doesn't generally end up near him enough of the game. You need Gandalf to be running around and jumping around the line as and where you need him, a bit like you see him in in the films in Minas Tirith. So he's got bodyguard, which is nice, but then he's got to guard another Gondor hero, which Gandalf isn't. His longbow, it kind of means that his might's in the wrong place, and it is only a single shot a turn. I've not had much success with him. I don't think he's very good. Dwinhere, absolute rubbish profile. You think it looks pretty good. He's got sharpshooter, but he gets to re-roll hits when he's shooting at monsters and wounding against monsters. But any Blackroot Vale get to re-roll hits if they're near him and re-roll all wounds if somebody spends a might point. But they don't need him for the wounding. They just need him for the re-roll ones, which isn't that amazing. But otherwise, he's 65 points for a rubbish fight value, stuck at strength 4, awful courage, regularly runs away when you break, and he's got nothing else really going for him. So Dwinhere's a horrible profile. And then your other options are Ingold. Now, he has been given a bit of a glow up. This edition is now Fight 5, not Fight 4. He's got an extra fate point. Nice. He's got shield wall, so he's D8 in the shield wall, and he's got strike and defense, which is very nice. But he's stuck at strength 4. He really struggles to put damage out for me when I've used him. I've got a really nice model for him, but I find myself thinking there's better options. And he's 70 points. And then the last one is you've got Irolas. So Irolas gives you Citadel Guard, but I feel they are a bit of a trap. I've tried using them a lot. And because they're only D5, Fight 4, even if you have them behind quite a survivable line, if your opponent breaks through anywhere or wraps you in some way, as soon as they end up in a one-on-one fight themselves, they just die and they just melt. And that +1 to wound is still only on a single dice, which I don't find is that amazing. And then Irolas himself, all right, he's Fight 5, which is nice. He's got the heroic defense and he's got the shielding rule where he can make a strike. But he's not that good. Again, he's stuck at strength 4. He doesn't put out damage for you. And he doesn't have bodyguard or anything. That courage is not amazing considering he's only got 1 will as well. So I think if you look at all the profiles, Angbor is the best of all of them. He's completely fearless. He's got 2 might, 2 will, and 2 fear. Fight 5. He's got strike. Importantly, he's got heroic march, which Gandalf doesn't have. And other heroes that you'd maybe want to take with him also don't have it. It avoids you having to take a captain. He 2 hands, so he's strength 4 with a +1 to wound, so he can do a lot of damage if he wins fights. He's got mighty blow as well. And then he does have this, but clansmen aren't very good now. The only problem you've got with Angbor, and I've actually found this has happened to me in tournaments, is he's actually got low intelligence, and people have used it against me, which is a bit annoying. I don't know why he's apparently very dumb, but there we go. So if we build this to 650, we're already at 320 points, just taking those 2 there. If we max their warbands, that'd be 32 models. It's not bad for 650, is it? But you are only at 6 might. So ideally, you kind of want another hero in here. It's such a pity that with Halbarad, you can only take Rangers with Halbarad. Rangers of the North for 25 points would be really useful to just drop into this list and give yourself an extra might point. But anyway, let's get building it here. So you want a really nice contingent of Minas Tirith tin cans. They're good value, hold the line for you well. They get in the way nicely while your big heroes do the work. So standard build there initially. Over here, I think we do something similar, but I'm going to do something a little quirky in a second as well. Well, not quirky, obvious really, but. So we're going to get some men-at-arms at Lamroth. So I'm going to take 4 of them. The reason I take 4 of them is 2 should be following Angbor around at all times, help him out in the fight. The other 2 are more like reserves in case Gandalf gets dismounted. You can put them behind him, or if anyone shoots out or kills the ones that are with Angbor, you've got 2 spares basically. They're his bodyguards that help him in fights. And now we're up to 583, and we've got 5 warband space. So let's try and get a couple of knights in. 3 knights, and that gives us 22 points to finish it off. We'll probably get 2 of those. That looks pretty good to me. If you wanted to get the model count spot on, we could take out 2 of them and make that 10 like that. Just so you've got, it's always a good idea to use some spears anyway. So why not? 33 models, because of course you've got Pippin as well. I overlooked that. So hopefully, Alex, that kind of gives you some ideas of what to do. So we're maxing the warbands. That is a high quality version of the list. You've got some more expensive pieces in there. We've got extra mobility. We've got the banner in there. But you're only at 6 might with 2 free combats. Thanks for confirming it is 650, by the way. Then I must have mixed that up with a different tournament then. So, yeah, rather glad that you raised it on here about that. So thanks very much for that. Another idea for you is if we reduce these knights down, go back down to 6 and 6 here, and drop Angbor. Another option is you could get Hurin in there. Not with a horse. Again, let's take some Minas Tirith. Same build of warband as we had with Angbor. Well, now we've got an extra might point on the board as well. And you can fill up his warband a little more. 5 and 5. 32 models. You could take a random clansman just to sit on an objective, something like that. Or you could take a Blackroot Vale if you wanted a little bit of archery. If you did want some archery, you could take 3 Blackroot Vale with a spear like this. There you go, gives you a tiny shooting threat. So that's the same model count as we got with the other list. We've reduced that down by 1 knight, but you've now got a little bit of a bow threat just to sit on an objective. You've got an extra might point on the board. Hurin doesn't suffer the 2-handing penalty as well, that Angbor does. What you have lost, however, is we have now lost March. We've lost the Fearless. And although Hurin does have the extra might point, he's lost a will and a fate point that Angbor had. Slightly higher defense, nice. But you're not really going to need his heroic resolve because you've got Gandalf. His in defense of the king and line of command just do not apply in this army. Really, you're paying the extra points for that Master Forged hand and a half, but he can reliably do a lot of damage for you. So he's an option, definitely. You could also take him on the horse. I do like him on the horse. It gives him 3 attacks on the charge. You can bounce around with Gandalf pretty well, which is nice, and maybe then you don't need the march as much. It's an idea at 650. So a few little ideas for you there. Do you have any more questions on that one? There is Forlong. I know you've touched on Forlong as well. He's a lot worse than he was before, so his courage isn't great. Yes, he's got a war horn, which affects himself, but if he fails and runs away, you've only got 1 will behind it. He's now strength 5, but with no bonus. He's not on horse anymore. It's a lot of points. And then the Horn of Lozanak is pretty rubbish because you've got to do it when he activates. So if you're moving first and you're close enough to your opponent that they can charge, you're likely the one doing the charging, in which case his horn isn't going to affect that many things unless there's a major counter charging coming. And if you're going second, then it's pointless then, isn't it? Nothing's going to be charging unless they're going to do a lot of heroic combats, but that's very niche. And it's nice that he does this reroll to Axemen of Lozanak nearby, and I do love Axemen of Lozanak, the versatility of them being able to 2-hand, fight normally, or space support. But they do die very easily, a bit like Citadel Guard. They're only defense 5. If you lose fights, they melt. And because they don't have shields, they can't shield. And they just die very easily. I love them, and I still take them quite a lot. But they just die. And you do get the most out of them if you do take them with Forlong, but I think I'd only take Forlong at high points in Pelennor. Anyway, there we go. Hopefully you're happy with that one there. I think I've touched on everything you've mentioned here. You did say about trying to get Aragorn and Gandalf, but you're paying 410 points for the 2 of them. Halbrad's brilliant because it gives you a banner, but you got no warband space then, so it doesn't quite work. Gandalf is amazing though. I think for 650 and above, you want to be looking at getting Gandalf in. He's got such a great toolbox to deal with everything you're going to come up against. And because he's got Pippin, this is the best version of him. You've got 3 combat, you've got 4 might, you've got 7 will, you've got like 6 fate. He's just amazing across the board. So I love using him. It does require a good pilot, but it comes with everything you want except March, which is why I think Angbor is the absolute perfect companion to go in a list with Gandalf to give you the March. Or if you were playing really high points, then yes, I would get Aragorn in the list to give you the free March. Cheeky little option you could go with as well. If you didn't lower the quality of the troops and you took out the knights and stuff, you could always get a bolt thrower in the list. But I think it forces you to play a certain way then, which is not amazing. Anyway, right, let's move on to the next one then. So, Magic, back to you. You were interested to see a Great Eye list. 745 points. Very specific points level. 750 is a very good level for Army of the Great Eye, though. So you've mentioned Dark Marshal Razgush. That is the fantastic combo that I think you want to run, definitely. I would go with almost every single time the third hero choice is Guritz, because if you get a Maelstrom scenario, Dark Marshal's a bit of a risk and a liability for you. Guritz will massively keep everyone where you want them to be. Also, because he is strength 5 with a +1 to wound, the problem with the combo of Dark Marshal and Razgush is Dark Marshal makes the bats fataless, and Razgush goes in and gives you the fight value, but who's doing the damage? Razgush can heroic strength, but at fight 6, if he's up against something really big, there is a potential that they could strike and still match him or get above him. Ideally, you want to go in with the potential to still strike if you need to. But if you send Guritz in and you trap them, 4 dice at strength 5 with a +1, he does damage. For just 65 points, he's your damage dealer. So I really like that combination for 750. And you can maybe then just throw in a cheap captain or throw in a cheap gore bag or something. But let's start building the list anyway. So I think you definitely want a few Black Numenorians in the list no matter what, because they bring you decent courage, but they also bring you decent intelligence, which allows them to pick up objectives for you. You don't want too much because they are only strength 3 and they don't do much damage for you. But I think a little bit of terror, nice, reliable-ish courage for objectives, they are pretty useful. And then we'll give them some cheap space supports. I think you want a little mobility as well. So I think a couple of Warg Riders, shield and throwing spear in there. And personally, I just love Morgul Stalkers, so I'd take 4 Morgul Stalkers, maybe 5. The 2 attack models, strength 4 though. Keep them behind your lines. They're your reserves. They can wrap your opponent, or they can countercharge if your opponent tries to wrap your lines. You've got to carefully pick them into fights where your opponent has like a single model, single troop, and when they don't have a banner nearby. Because your problem is you've got low fight value and low defense. But if you pick their fights carefully, they're very, very good. They've also got slightly better courage than some of the other things in the army. Decent intelligence. Stalk unseen is nice. I like him. With Razgush, I think you do want to get a Bat Swarm minimum 1 in there. You then want just some Mordor Orcs, I think. Get his warband up a bit. Get some spares in there as well. I always give him the drummer. I think you always want to take a drummer in this list, and then maybe just get yourself a few trackers. Now I could just reduce that warband down a little bit and get maybe a couple of Felwargs in there. They do give you cheap mobility and a little trick to tag stuff up that they can't see you, but you can charge them. And then last of all, I like to take a Morannon warband with Guritz. Because this gives you a really reliable, survivable line. You can also send them towards the shooting, and they can be in the ways for the other stuff. Now you see I've basically maxed all the warbands here. I've still got a little bit of points left, so there's ways we can now upgrade stuff. is what I'd be looking to do here. So you could change them to be Morannons as well. Might be a good idea. We're almost spot on there. I've just gone ever so slightly too high. Let's knock out a Fellwag and go for an extra spear. There we go. So that's the spear for Razgush. So if you look at that list now, you've kind of got a full, well-rounded list that can deal with anything. So this is a more elite way of building the army. You could go for a fourth hero, which would also work. I think I'll do that in a moment for you if you want. But yeah, Black Numenorians, backed up by those, that's a double D6 line. You've got a double D6 line with Guritz. So anyone that's got a lot of shooting, you've got a lot of protection in the ways there. For the slightly weaker warband here you want to protect. The Mordor Orc Drummer will get everything moving fast except for the Black Numenorians, but that's fine. You've got a really good caster, survivable leader, aura of command fearless, a Bat Swarm to half anything big with fight value, Razgush to go in there, fight 6, Dark Marshal to fight 6 at a pinch if you need him as well, and then Guritz is your damage dealer. You've got Morgul Stalkers that can put out damage for you. You've got a couple of Warg Riders for knockdowns to help Razgush and Guritz if you need. And then you've got Strength 4 over here and Strength 4 here that get a +1 fight against men. A little bit of cheap mobility with the Fellwag. You've got 3 Orc Trackers just to provide a little bit of threat to enemy horses. That is a very well-rounded list in my opinion. That could win a tournament. It kind of can deal with anything. No matter what it faces, it's not guaranteed to win. It's not got any auto wins. But it will give you a good chance against anything you face. If we just very quickly, I'll try and do it quickly so I can move on to the others. If I go for some cheap mobility, cheap might, because one problem I do have with that other list, probably its only weakness, is you need to be very careful with your might usage. I'd still say you always want to take those 4 Black Numenorians. So we're starting off quite similar. I'll go for the shield and throwing spears. This time I'll only go for 2 Morgul Stalkers and this time throw in a couple of trackers. Razgush, let's get him a Bat Swarm. Get him the Mordor Orcs. 4 of them, 4 with spear. Let's get him some trackers as well. So we're at 6, 2, 4 now, so I'm already starting to get low. So we're going to have to go with a lower quality set of troops. I think we'll go for some 2-handed orcs in this one. The one thing I've realised I missed is the drummer though, which is essential. Something like that. And then if I just mirror that, spear. So it's a much lower quality line, but you've got 48 models this time. I've got 6 bows in there, 10 might. This might be even better, to be fair. So we've got all Mordor Orcs this time, no Morannons. We're a lot weaker against shooting, but we do have 48 models to absorb it at 750 points. The drummer will let us move quite fast. Black Numenorians are more now being used for objectives. Bit of mobility, still a couple of Stalkers in there. Bat Swarms do the job, but we've got more might this time. I think arguably this would be the better list for 750 than the other one I just showed. And you've got this, keep this warband as the one behind your lines. So wherever you want to really focus your hitting power, to really have a bit of a breakthrough, or to countercharge your opponent coming round, this is where I'd use that. I'd have Gorbags and Razgushes as the front line. These will be taking objectives. They're just extra spears to follow the lines. Morgul Stalkers behind the lines. Couple of trackers for threat, couple of trackers for threat. Reserve warband. He's called Master of Reserves for a reason, after all. So there we go. Let me scroll back up now then. So hopefully you're happy with that magic. I think that either of those would do well. You did ask about Shelob though. I'll just touch on that. So the big thing with Shelob is her sweeter meats. Where is it? Hungers for sweeter meats. She adds +1 to her attack value if she's engaged in combat with a man, elf, dwarf, or hobbit. That means that you're getting much better value out of her in good versus evil matchups. So if you go to a tournament that you know is good versus evil, I would recommend Shelob highly. I think she's very, very good. However, if it's just a normal tournament you go into, I'm not sure she justifies it, because in the games where you face a good army, she's not doing much for you. She's got 1 attack, monstrous charge, and she can eat one of her own, isn't she? Yeah, so she can eat one of her own models, and until the end of the turn, she can reroll a dual die. So she'll have 2 attacks on the charge, rerolling 1. Still only 3 attacks. It's not very reliable for a model with no might. You could kind of have a banner maybe nearby her as well, so you'd be able to reroll both those dice. But then if she's getting charged, you're not going to be able to, because she can't use this rule if she gets charged. She's not using this if she's facing an evil army. So it should be a 1 attack model, maybe with a banner if you're lucky, which for 100 points is really not doing much for you. So she is good. She needs to be played very carefully as well. But I'd save her for good versus evil tournaments. That's where she thrives best. So next one, we're finally down to the Endring Master with Calm Dumb. I've said this before, but I've got Calm Dumb on commission, but it's going to take a while, so I won't have it for a while, sadly. But let's start with that. Let's try it with just, I think you want the extra might, so let's try it with 2 captains, 2 hill trolls for now. I've spent a lot of points there straight away. If I go 5 of them, and a single banner, and we'll have him as well with Calm Dumb. This was for 700 points, wasn't it? So I will have to drop 1 of those to make this work. I think with the captain, you just go with orcs. I'd be tempted just to take 9 of them with shield there, just there to get in the way to make sure your warriors are Calm Dumb aren't getting shot on the way in. Can maybe drop 1 here to let yourself get a couple of trackers in the list, just to give you some shooting threat. But yeah, we're not. Maybe just reduce this a little bit. I want to max this warband out. He can be a space support for them, so let's try that. That's 40 models. That feels pretty nice. Is there anything else I can take that I've not taken? There is Warg Riders in the list, which is probably going to be pretty useful. So you want some knockdowns potentially to help. So a couple of them would be really useful, I think. Again, I've not maxed that warband down. I'm not happy about that. Drop just 1 of them. That gives me 8 points back. Not enough to get another Warg Rider. 39 models. Four and 4 of them. I think I probably still want an extra spear for him. I feel like I'm missing something obvious. Maybe somebody can tell me. That gives me 14. That would allow me to get another Warg Rider in there. Maybe that'll be more useful to me. So have a look at that there. Now it's only 6 might at 700 points because you've taken 2 hill trolls. I think possibly you want to only have 1, but 2 monsters protect each other well. It's what I try and do with Birder's Horde. You want Birder and 1 hill troll because they protect each other by being able to hurl. And there your big threats being fight 7. But it is only when they're charging. So you need to be able to contest stuff to be able to charge. So let's try it with 1. Maybe it's 750 you go to, but 700. maybe we just go with 1. So let's get another one of them each in there. And I can reduce these down to maybe 6. Get another captain in. And let's get some. I'm going to reduce that down to 2 just for the moment, just to see how this works out. Now I've got 9 points left. That gets me another Carndom, doesn't it? It does. There we go. I feel a bit more comfortable with that one. I think that'd be the way to go with it. So the banners are, I think the 6-inch banners in Carndom, if I remember. So yeah, you've got 6-inch banners in Carndom. If you're charging, you get +1 fight value. So that means that the Carndom go up to fight 4 when they're charging. The Hill Troll goes up to fight 7. Aldrak can be fight 7 in the list as well. Threat can allow you to protect some of these Carndom warriors using some will, a bit like Malbeth. Now, the reason I have gone with Carndom, because a lot of people don't believe or run Carndom, believe in them. And also the reason I've taken the captains of Carndom, I will show you, which is sort of Aldrak's profile. Friendly Carndom models within 6 inches of him must re-roll failed courage tests. Now, friendly Carndom models, he's a Carndom model, so he re-rolls all his fails himself. The captains will re-roll all fails, and all these warriors will also re-roll all fails. And they already don't have that bad courage. So if they stay within 6 inches of Aldrak, you've got a pretty good courageous front line. If you break, even if he gets tagged, he still lets them re-roll. And that also will help your captains, that if you break, you've got captains that will be operating at a 6+ courage and re-rolling fails. And having that +1 to wound against a hero, if they do go into your captains to try and take them out, or you misplay, lose a big roll off, anything like that, pretty amazing that there's a real threat to your opponent. If they really make a mess of that dual roll, it kind of gives them something extra to think about. I can just imagine in a tournament, if they did win a big move off and they were clearly considering going into my captain, I could say to them, oh, well, if you do, just remember it does have +1 to wound against heroes and his strength 4. So if they win without a D6 hero and make a mess of it, they're getting wounded on 4s. So there is a threat there, which I like. And they're much more reliable to stick around. Orc captains, I hate Orc captains because of that courage 7+. As soon as you break, they run away. And it's awful. So yeah, I think that is a very good competitive Carndom list, 700 points. I would be happy taking that to quite a high up GBHL event, maybe an 80, 90. And especially 90s, I'd say I'd take this and feel relatively confident I could do well with it, even podium with it. At hundreds, maybe it might come unstuck because of some of the builds you'll get a 700, but that's just because there's some really broken metas out there. Carndom is a very nice competitive list. It's just not quite able to deal with your white hands, decks, things like that. But that's because of how annoying their rules are and how slightly OP they are compared to the rest of the armies in the game right now. So hopefully you're happy with that, Andrew Master. Hope that helps. And next one we had is Lord of Nothing 22. Sorry, I missed your message come through. I never said hi to you when you joined the chat. Hopefully you're still here. Look at Grand Army of the South with Amber and the Golden King at 800 points. Yeah, it's a good list, Grand Army of the South, because it doesn't feel like much, but +1 courage to your whole army is nice for evil. So if you're doing Amber and Golden King, I'd say you want to have Golden King as your leader, and Amber would be your second in command. So if you played Assassination, he could be your assassin. He's a much more protected leader, is Golden King. And the only way to wound him really is shooting. He's a nice 3-inch banner for you. It's got some hitting power. Yeah, really nice profile all round. It also means he can be more aggressive with Amber. So if we're going for 800 points, you didn't mention if you wanted other things linked in. I would be tempted to put someone like Delgamar in and give yourself some Corsairs. because he is a cheap 3 might hero with 3 attacks. But if we do that, we won't have any march. But we do have a war drum, so we don't need it. So yeah, Delgamar I think would be a good shout. You could also get some Farharad in by going for a Mahmud King. We've got space for 1 more hero, but I don't think you want them to be extremely expensive. Delgamar would be the perfect choice for me. If you were going down the same route of these 2 armies, Raz is an okay choice, but 3 attacks, but he's a bit expensive for what he brings you, maybe. If you're going for D6, I'd be tempted to take a Dragon Knight. Maybe just something like a Corsair Captain, Easterling Captain, give you something, but yeah. I'm going to show you Delgamar, because I think that's the more competitive way of building that if you are going to build it for 800 points. Because look at that. We've got the 4 key models in the list and we're at 400 points. That now gives us a full 400 points to fill out these warbands, and we've also got 45 warband space by doing that. So if we do the obvious thing first of all with the Easterlings, so let's go for the halberd at the front. Take 6 of those. Get some black dragons behind them to give you the 5/5. And I'd take a couple of Dragon Cult Acolytes for the hell of it, because the 2 attack models on a single thing, keep them behind the lines. Throwing weapons give you some interesting options late game sometimes. And the fact they get +2 on any jump and climb test can also be quite cheeky and useful for you. Golden King, because we've got quite a lot of points, I'd be tempted to take some half trolls for a bit more D6. But let's try it. I'm going to be burning through your points pretty quick though by doing this, but let's try it. Gives you a bit of the D6 as well, so they're quite tanky. Maybe take some of Bracken Guard as well. Some more space to go behind them. And then probably a little bit of mobility now. So let's get a couple of raiders in there. And then down to Delgamar now. You can get some crossbowmen in there. Give you a bit of shooting threat. Burnt through a lot of things, haven't I now? Let's just reduce those half trolls. I really like half trolls as a profile. But maybe it's not the best choice here. So I'd want maybe 6 crossbowmen in 2 packs of 3 that'd sit on an objective for you. Magic and Endrin Master. Glad you like both of those. Sorry, you did say 745 points, didn't you? Not 750. Apologies. I'd just drop a tracker, yeah, something like that, or drop a single orc. It's no big deal on that, is it? You can probably just play around with the points to get it spot on 745, but if you're only 1 point down, it's not the end of the world. It'd definitely mess with my OCD a little bit, but there we go. So going back to this for Lord of Nothing, so yeah, 6 of those. I would really like having some more throwing weapons in the list. So I'd be very tempted to take 6 of these. He gives them a reroll as well. You might need to take some. If you took more spears in this warband, if you were setting up, they could go behind the Corsairs, which is probably the way to do it. Something like that. I might just reduce that a little bit, and that'll get me 2 more of them in. 42 models now feels pretty good there. So the setup here for me would be you have the 2 half trolls with the 6 Corsairs of Umbar with the 8 spears behind them. They should be your reserve force that stand behind the Easterling block on the way in. That's a double rank of D6 that'll protect you from shooting. You've got a little bit of shooting yourself. I'd have 3 Corsairs on each end of each side of your line, giving you some strength 4 hitting power for shooting, just a bit of a threat to your opponent, something to think about. 2 Dragon Cult Acolytes to stay behind your line at all times. they would just be for late game plays and heroic combats with heroes to give you extra dice in the fight, or to prevent your opponent from wrapping your Easterlings. You've got a War Drum to get you up the board quick. Haradrim Raiders give you a bit of mobility, a little bit of threat. They've got a bow as well to shoot if your opponent doesn't engage with them. You've got 8 might on the board. You've got potential free strikes from Amber. And then Delgamar gives you 3 might. He can give these Corsairs a re-roll in the dual roll in the fight. So you'd have the dice for them at the front, a dice for the spear at the back. The Golden King would give the spears a banner, and Delgamar would give the guy at the front a re-roll. You'd have 4 dice in the front of those 2 warbands together. Amber is a banner for all of these and gives these a re-roll as well. 8 bows, 10 throwing weapons, 42 models, 799. That looks like a cracking list to me. That looks like a really quirky tournament winning list, 800 points. I'd be very interested to try that myself, actually. I've got this contingent on commission, and I've got this on commission. I don't have this, but that does look like a bloody good list. I like it that much. I'm going to take a picture of it so I know what to build towards myself. There we go. Hopefully you like that then, Lord of Nothing. If you do use that at an event, please, please, please drop me a message or comment or something like that to let me know how you did with it, because I'd be very curious to see how that was at an event. Anyway, like moving down. So Benjamin Cleaver, maybe, German perhaps. Been trying to build a 700-point Moria Watcher list that is more interesting than just Derberts and captains. Any suggestions on a Druzag Watcher list? Interesting. Okay. So going for a slightly off-meta way of building it. I like it. Being a bit more creative, which we always like to encourage. So you've said 700 points. So it's going to be a bit tight because he's 200 by himself. Now, Druzag gives you the Enraged Beast, but I don't believe the Watcher is a beast, is it? No, he's a monster. So the only things he could enrage is the Cave Drake, or he could also enrage Bat Swarms. I don't think Dweller in the Dark, no, he's not a beast either. Cave Troll isn't either. No, you can enrage the Felwag, you can enrage Hunting Spider, and you can't take a Wag Chieftain in this either. So it'd be very tough to then also get a Cave Drake in here as well, 700 points, because you've got no warband space. That's your big problem here. You could take something like just a cheap captain, but look at that, you're only getting 30 warband slots. We can certainly try it, because I think you still want a Bat Swarm, at least one Bat Swarm in there. We'd have to go really cheap on your troops, so we'd have to ignore Prowlers, which is a bit sad, but I think it's probably necessary. See how many points we end up with once I've just filled out these warbands. Because they are so cheap. Maybe we could still get you some Prowlers in there, which is kind of what I think I'd like to do. But no, we're at 645 now. So even if I take another captain, we're not going to get enough warband space. Druzag's the only way you can get a Bat Swarm in the list, which is very useful to you. But you want him to be enraging something that's useful, like the Cave Drake. But 33 models, I know 33 at 650 is normally pretty good. I know I can get one more Goblin in, by the way. I've just not added that extra one in ever. There we go. 34 models, just it's not enough for me. It's not enough. You're going to break too easily, and this army does actually break as it should. I'm not sure that's particularly viable, mate, if you don't mind me saying. I think you can get creative with this list. using Druzag with the Cave Drake, but I don't then think a Watcher is the way to go, perhaps, with it. You could maybe, that list could maybe work 34, but your Goblins are really poor. You're definitely going to give away break points in every single game. I wouldn't like to go into an event like that, knowing that I'm going to always be broken in every game. If you were happy to just enrage something smaller, like Bat Swarms, you could just take more Bat Swarms, perhaps, and they'd be an interesting threat, because you'd send them in at fight 3. If they went into anything that was fight 6 or lower, you'd half and match them or beat them. And you could always try and get in with other stuff then. You could maybe get Prowlers in there. You could get, I don't know, there's one of the Hunting Spiders that's fight 4, isn't there? Or fight 3? Fight 3, I thought it was fight 4. You could always keep something like Dweller in the Dark really far behind the lines, and then if you manage to enrage and get a Bat Swarm in, they can come flying in from 8 inches away, perhaps. I still think you can't look beyond Durbers for this list. I think if you're going to take this list, you should always take Durbers. It's such an amazing profile. You've got the chance of Groblog as well. Is Mithril Crown giving people dominant too? It's useful for the late game if you can take enough models that you're not broken, but I think you've got to get a high model count. Are you still in the chat, Ben? You can drop Druzag, but you're wanting something a bit different. Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, okay. I've just seen Lord of Nothing. It's Steve from Leeds. Glad you could join us, Steve. I'll hopefully draw you in the league at some point and we can have another game. So back to you, Benjamin, in here. So if you want me to build you one how I would maybe do it, that I think would be competitive for you at a tournament, but would also be something a bit different. And I don't know if you do have everything in the list. Maybe you do. I would go for the Dragon, but I wouldn't do it in the way everyone is. I'd ignore this Breathe Fire. It's a really disgusting broken rule. It needs a nerf. It needs an FAQ. Anyone taking a Dragon with Breathe Fire to a tournament is a bit of a swine. They shouldn't be doing it. It's the same thing as like taking Eagles to an event. Like, just don't do it. Like, you're not winning with skill. You've just got rules that have been overcooked. So I would go with Fly and the Magic. Now, this Dragon with Magic has Transfix on a 3+, Compel on a 3+. The Compel's the big one. If you've got a 12-inch flying dragon and you can pull things in with a Compel, you can pull them out of the line. And you could also use them for really effective heroic combats with something that's got mobility. So if you had a Warg Marauder in the list as well. Let's think of a few choices. Druzag would be useful in this list because Druzag would give you Bat Swarms, which would go into the fight with the Dragon, and then it could slingshot into something. So just as an example for you, you could compel something out of the line, just a normal guy that can't resist, jump into it with the Dragon and multiple Bat Swarms, and then call a heroic combat. And if your opponent has left his heroes relatively safe behind their lines miles away from you, you're jumping 24 inches in a turn with the Dragon and 2 Bat Swarms, and you can basically deal with anything in the game and possibly one-shot it. And with 2 Bat Swarms, you'll be able to trap them as well. So I would personally do that. We're at 525 points, though, so now we need to go heavy on spam. So just need to try and keep you as survivable as possible. Maybe take a couple of those just to make your opponent think. But let's just spam this out. See what we get to. Model count's not going to be amazing, but it is 40 models. Now you look at that there, 700 points, 40 models, good. 8 item boards, decent. You've got a really good survivable leader. He can be calling you moves, get you up the board quicker, as well with his the 8-inch when you get the 7-inch, you get the extra 2 inches, don't you? All these goblins there. Maybe you want to take more shields than spears. I don't think you want to go as perfectly symmetrical. I'd maybe take more shields just so you've got more things that can shield. All they want to do is get in the way and hold up your opponent, try not to break. And your dragon there with the bat swarms together, that is a major threat. And if they end up getting separated or anyone tries to target your bat swarms, your Druzhag can enrage them. And yeah, I think that is a very effective list. Let me know what you think of that. That is something quite different. I don't think you'll see anyone else build it like that. I think that's a very fun way of building it, very creative way of building it. And if you turn up to a table, even at a big event tournament, 90 or 100 or something, nobody's going to be angry with you running this list. You're not going to turn up to the table and go, oh yeah, you've got breathe fire, of course you have. They'll be happy to face you. Like it's a more interesting way of building it. It's a more skillful way of playing and building it as well. So yeah, see what you think of that. And if you play it, let me know how you get on. Happy with that? Any questions on that one? Oh, you like that? Nice, fantastic. Well, give it a try. You've got to be careful with the Dragon's Will. Of course, he's only got 3, and you need it for survival instinct. But yeah, if you cast it on a 3+, you probably can just throw your 1 free at it. Especially if what you want to do with the magic is don't use his magic to try and target heroes or things that can actually resist. Target just a normal guy in the line, the enemy banner. And it's something on the front line. Really, you want to use it a bit like a Spectre. Use it each turn to pull something towards you that gives you the choice of jumping on it with the dragon and the bat swarms that you can then combat away into anything. And you've got such a massive range of your threat. Your opponents will have a real problem with it. Yeah, anyway, let me know how you get on with that one. Also, was the surname German, or are you watching from Germany or somewhere else? I think with that as well, I might have caught up with everyone's requests here. German from the USA. Sure, makes sense. You'll be getting signed up to the US national team by Klinsmann if he was still in charge. Anyone else then in the chat that's got any suggestions for lists you'd like me to look at? Something I need to do now is rethink my Grand Prix list, because I was building it for 625, but glad I was informed earlier that it was actually 650, and I need to do a bit of rethinking on that. Considering lists have been released, maybe you guys would be interested to see it. I'm going to a GBHL 80 event tomorrow in Preston. I only signed up for it last minute, and it's only an 80. I want to have fun at 80s this year. Any 80s I go to, not going to be many of them, but the ones I go to, I want to take more fun lists. Even, I know I always take off meta stuff, but I wanted to take something that was even more challenging myself, just see how I can do. So I've gone for Azog's Hunters, which you absolutely shouldn't do. It's an absolutely horrendous list. But the build I've gone for is this. So it's a 450 point event. Now all the lists got released today, and there's one player that took a breaking of the fellowship list with a similar model count to me. Everyone else has got 20, 25 to 30 models. So I've got this list here with 12 might, which is incredible. But it's only 7 models. And the reason 7 models is the sweet spot is if they need to break, if they want to break you, they've got to kill 4 models. I've only got 3 normal plebs. one of which I plan on keeping completely away from the lines, and the other two I'll try and keep out. They're more like absolute last reserves if I really need them. My ideal solution is you try and get Azog, Yasneg, and the Hunter Orc Captain in early into my opponent's line, kill as much as I can, as quick as I can, burning through my might. Nazug can put some threat on some heroes and shoot and do a little bit of damage on the way in for me, also to hold objectives, as well as these three. And we'll see if it works, but they've got to kill 4 models to break me, which is going to be difficult. And for me to be quartered, I have to be at 1 model, which means you've got to kill everything but Azog. And if Yasneg stays next to Azog, Yasneg has this absolutely beautiful special. Like Yasneg has been insanely buffed, and I love him, but it's just the list is so bad that he's in. But yeah, he's fight value 5 now. He's got decent courage. He's still 3 might, and he's got this price of failure rule, which is if he's within 3 inches of Azog, he can declare he's using the rule. And if he does, he can re-roll any number of dice. So if you charge and you have 3 dice, and you just say your opponent rolls a 5 high and you roll a 4 high, you can choose to roll all 3 dice. If you lose the dual roll, you immediately take a wound, which is bad. But you've got 2 wounds and a fate early on, especially if you've got fight value in a fight you go into. You should always be doing it. But yeah, we'll see how I do with it. I'm not feeling too confident with it. There's a couple of really, considering it's an 80, there's a few players that are turning up to it that are taking some really nasty, oppressive lists, which is sad to see. But it'll be fun either way. It's 4 rounds, 450 points, 1 day with a few of my mates as well. So we're driving up to Preston tomorrow morning. See how we get on. If anyone's interested to have a look at it, it's on Tabletop Admiral. It's called Give Me the Precious. The Endrin Master, you got another one for me. Here we go. So, Realms of Men with the different kings. Now, Realms of Men, I've faced once or twice actually at tournaments. I don't think it's an amazing list. You got a lot of options. You got your Kings of Men from all different realms, and you got your normal captains and stuff. Knight of the White Tower. I think your Bolt Thrower is nice to see. Windlands, which is interesting as well. So they can only lead each other's things, their own realm. So the Arnor King is fearless and gets 3 attacks. Okay. The Dale King gets an extra wound by the looks of it. The Gondor King gets Shield Wall, Leader of Citadel Guard, and an extra might point, it looks like. The Numenor King gets Strength 5 and Magic Resistance. They've all got March, Strike, and Resolve, which is interesting as well. And then Rohan, what do Rohan get? Expert Rider, Horse Lord, and Leader of Royal Guard. But they don't get anything on the stat line, it looks like. But the Horse Lord with 2 fates, pretty decent. They're all fight 6. The only one that's 3 attacks is Arnor. And they can take a horse, so I think they can all take the same Wargear card by the looks of it. Numenor King, resistance to magic as a leader is pretty cool. Because they've only got 2 will, there will be a plaything otherwise. I think I'd be tempted to take the Numenor King as the leader. Heavy armor and a shield, and I'd keep him on foot in the line. I'd use the Arnor King mounted to give you some threat, perhaps. Give him the lance and everything. So he's D7. Got the king on foot. He's got an extra might point He's got march as well, so he's just better than a captain, isn't he? So just why would you not take him as a king over the others? Also says, well, he's special rules, leader of guard of the Fountain Court, even though it's not on there. Interesting. I don't think you take the Dale King. It's just an extra wound. It's not very good. The Rohan one, you can lead Royal Guard, which are very useful. And he's got Horse Lord, but then he's only 2 attacks. So I don't think I'd want him on a horse, because if you lose a move off that, he's a dead king. I think I'd be tempted to just take 3 kings and go Gondor and probably keep him in the lines as well. Give him a shield and heavy armor. So if we go with that as a first thought, so King of Numenor can only lead Numenorians, whereas this guy can lead a lot. Nice. Okay, so we can get some men at arms in there as well. Get Rangers in the list as well. Guard of the Fountain Court. I've not looked at these at all. This model's within 6 inch. It's treated as having dominant 2. Within 6 of them as well, and bodyguard. But no shield. D6, but no shield. But he has to be your general. Maybe he's better as the general then. And you can just have your... He's only 2 attacks, the strength 5. He's not... Yeah, now I'm going to admit I was wrong here. I'm going to put the King of Men at the top. So we will have... Can you take multiple of the same king is what I'm interested. Welcome back, Aidan. Yes, sure, let's get onto that in a few minutes. Which king with no barrel whites? I love it. That is the right way to do it. So you can only take 1 of each king, can't you? Which is... Makes sense, I suppose. You're not going to have 2 kings in Arnor, are you? I don't know then if I really want any of those. I'd be tempted now to take a Knight of the White Tower. 2-handed weapon, mighty blow, fight 6. And if he's engaged in a hero, you can be quite aggressive with him. He can re-roll an extra dice. I can't look past this King of Numenor, though. I'm just thinking maybe I want him on a horse now. Because that means he'd be a bit like an Aena. Strength 5 with a lance. He's actually better than Aena in terms of damage. Magic resistance on a mounted model, meaning the only risk of him dying is with shooting. His horse dying is shooting. He's not so much of a risk with magic. So yeah, I'd be interested to do that. Let's build it that way. He will also allow me to take some Numenorians, which I'd like to mix in with this warband. So I think I'd take 8 of those. Maybe take some of those as well. 4 pikes and maybe a couple of Fountain Court. They're already D6 as it is, so let's just get a load of them. What else can I take? Is there Knights in this as well? Knights of Minister, if there is. I can take Knights of Arnor with them as well, can't I? So I'll do Knights of Arnor. Because they're basically the same, I think. Unless I'm missing something, I don't think I am. Because I need some shooting threat as well at some point, but maybe I get that from Arnor. I think we'll go with Rangers for them. Because Warriors of Arnor aren't going to provide me much. They've got Hatred Angmar, which is kind of nice, but they've got the awful courage. They're not better than a... I suppose the 8 points. Maybe a few of them could be pretty good. Take some Knights, you want some mobility. If we do take a few Warriors, I don't think I want to take many, maybe 6 of them. And I'll take 6 of them. I've realised didn't take a banner, did I, in this top list? So let's get... Now, the problem is, actually, if I take Fountain Court Guard as my mostly rear, they can't space support. They can't get the banner, sorry. So let's maybe put them as the front line. A bodyguard front line is real nice. Guaranteed charging. And we can do something like that, maybe. The banner. Yeah, kind of like that. Let's give them an extra one, perhaps. We've got a Knight of Arno there to give us a load of mobility. They are fight for. They've not got great courage, though. That's the problem between them and the... that's probably the big problem there between them and the Knight of Minas Tirith. Their stat line is identical, I believe. But they're the same cost, and the others have got better. Let's have a quick look. I'm right, aren't I? So you're paying for that +1 to wound against Angmar. So I might put in a Knight of Minas Tirith just into that warband instead. Maybe reduce that down to 3. Then we go on to Numenor. Then we go shield and spear for these guys for the most part. They can just be kind of your reserve, figure out where you want them. Strength 4 as well, which is nice. Fight value 5, they can just space support as and where you need the fight 5. Could be pretty useful. Whether you want them supporting the warriors of Arnor, whether you want them supporting some of this warband, it gives you a few different options there. Yeah, I think something like that would be pretty good. It's only 7 might, but you've got a really good quality line and good model count because of how cheap your heroes are. They both provide you a bit of a mobility threat as well. We've got quite a lot of mobile pieces in the army. Maybe reduce the Knight of Arnor by 1. Get yourself a bolt thrower in there as well. Could knock out 2 of them. Give him swift reload, and then I've got 9 points for something, which get me an extra ranger maybe. That might be better. Because we've got a lot of mobility having two mounted heroes anyway. And we've still got 3 normal knights as well. Ideally, you want these 6 behind those 6 now. 7 rangers just gives you a little bit of more range threat. And a bolt thrower with swift reload. That looks a pretty good list for me. What do you think of that, Endrin Master? I think that could be pretty cool. If I remember as well, it's just occurred to me, Endrin Master, is that you, Will? Or is that somebody else? It is. Excellent, Will. There you go. Well, good suggestion. I enjoyed actually looking through that. I've not really paid Realms of Men that much attention. I played it twice, very early on when it got released, within like a week or 2 of it getting released, and I beat it quite convincingly both times, and I thought, it doesn't feel like it's that good a list. But now I'm thinking back as to how both my opponents had built it. They hadn't built it like this. I think you will be better running something like this. Yeah, you'll get some fantastic conversions. You could definitely win a best painted with an army like this because people will appreciate the different realms, and especially if you have them very uniquely coloured for each of their realms. I think that'd be pretty good. I think you definitely want the Gondor King of Man as your leader, and you want him on foot, buried in your line, nice and safe. Your Arnor King of Men is definitely your biggest hitter. He's the one you want to be aggressive with. And your Numenor King is the damage dealer. So you've got a nice little mix between those 3. Bolt thrower just means your opponent has a threat to come to you. You've got a lot of models, a lot of d6 there. Man at arms to go behind the king or any key fights. Bit of fight 5. Yeah, really happy with that. I think that could do pretty well. Anyway, let's get on to Aiden's request here. So, Witch King, host of the Witch King, with no barrow whites, as it should be. Where's host of the Witch King? Probably on the H. So, definitely want him on a horse. Oh, there is a truck reversing into my living room. It's definitely not my dishwasher, if you can hear that. So, I'm going to say something controversial here that most people probably will disagree with. I think the Morgul Blade's a trap. There's very few things in the game that have no fate. And nobody takes trolls and stuff like that. Or, yeah, you've got eagles. Maybe it'll help you chop an eagle. But you're paying 10 points for the rare moment you're actually going to get some use out of it. Balrog's probably the only thing you're really getting good value out of it. Everyone else, whenever you go in and say, I'm going to use my Morgul Blade on these strikes, they just fate those, and that's it. You're done, and you've wasted 10 points. So don't bother with the Morgul Blade. If you can take him with a two-handed weapon, which in most of his lists you can, I would recommend you take the two-handed weapon, just so it gives you the possibility of, if you've got a really good, safe fight where you want to put out the damage, you can. Now, I would always build Host of the Witch King with Aldrak. Such an amazing profile, one of my favourite profiles I've created. Getting the free combat very reliably. Friendly Kandum re-rolling. Courage test within 6 inches of him. Very, very good. And Mighty Blow, even better. Fight 6. Strength 5. Good courage. Re-rolls himself. I would also take them with a contingent of Kandum. In terms of the rest of the army choices, Shadow of Rudau is a nice little toolbox. 800 points as well we're looking at. We've already used 290. I think you could get Rudauer in here. I think he would be useful. And then I would probably go for maybe Nasdaq or a Captain of Kandum. Probably a Captain of Kandum, because I'm so terrified of my heroes running away and costing me a game because of it, which happens. So Witch King is going to have a couple of werewolves, a couple of spectres, and then let's get some orcs in there. So 6 of them, 6 of them, and that's it for now. Maybe we'll give him some Warg Riders as well. Let's give him 2 Warg Riders. I'll come back to the Kandum ones. So Rudauer, generally I want him as more of my reserve force. I'll maybe the captain of the reserve force. So no, let's do it normally first here. So let's fill his warbands. Can I take trackers in this list? No. So I don't think I'd bother taking any bows. They're not going to do anything for you. Hitting on 5s is awful. Strength 2, 18 inches. Absolutely horrible. I'll take a whole warband of 2-handers with your captain. He can be the reserve force behind it. Maybe make this a bit smaller because I want to get a nice warband of Kandum here. So we're at 52 models, but I've gone too high in my model count. I think I can reduce that a little bit and still feel pretty happy and comfortable with the warbands. That was 5 of them. I think 5 and 5 is pretty decent. I don't think I've taken a banner, have I? No. Four and 4 of them. Really, I want the banner with him. So if we knock down that, get a banner in the list, and I've still got 8 points. Yeah, maths is now not working very good. I wanted a 4 and 4 and a 4 and 4 would have been nice there. The banner, really, the reason I'm thinking of taking the banner in here would be... Good point, Aidan. Yeah, in this list you do have access to curse, so you could try and get the fate off them. And even if they don't, even if they do resist it, then at least you're getting will out of them, which then makes them more of a plaything for the Witch King. Maybe there's an argument. Maybe that's a... You make a good case there. I'll give you that. How do I want to do this? So I still want him in there because Aldrak will give him the reroll. I'd probably keep him behind Aldrak the whole game, and I'll probably have Rudour kind of working with the Witch King. So if you've got divide and conquer, I've already got a plan in mind as to how you deal with that. But 800 points, I kind of want it a little higher because these are good courage to go sit on objectives. They're good mobility to go elsewhere. So maybe I don't need the mobility of the Wide Rider because if they win against infantry, they knock it down anyway. So really, I'd get the werewolves to work with the Witch King. Probably not going to get much value out of him. So let's say forget him. 11 points. Or extra spear, 46 models. So yeah, you've convinced me there with that. Actually, that is a very good argument, Aidan, you made there. Good call. So 10 might, 800 points, very nice. 3 combats from Aldrak. This is the one where the Witch King doesn't lose will for winning a combat, I believe, right? Gains +1 fight, and he only loses will if he loses a combat. Very nice. And then you've got 2 spirits in the army here that mean that you're going to have 2 nice little terror bubbles. So ideally, I would have this warband and this warband, Rudour's, on the front line. Aldrax and the Captain of Kandom I'd keep behind the lines. I then wrap those into my opponent's lines. They'd be my force to go and try and wrap my opponent and do the damage. And these would be my reserve force to pick and choose where I get them in to do extra damage with the two-handing. Captain to stay at all times within 6 inches of Aldrak. So you've got some reliable courage on these and this lot. Rude arrow to curse people that you want to try and get with the Morgul Blade, absolutely. Witch King can transfix as well if they're wasting will, resisting his curses. A banner in the list as well. The banner kind of wants to move over and be close to Aldrak. Werewolves to go get far-flung objectives and work with the Witch King in combats, and the Spectres to go and do Spectre things, and also to sit on objectives for you. They would give you good, reliable courage to sit on maybe home objectives, so you can get them to move around and do what they need to early on and get people taking intelligence checks. But late game, you want to move them back to then go sit on your home objectives, that sort of thing. Very happy with that list. I think I do really well. I think I'd consider running this exact list myself. Again, it's on commission. I will get it eventually, probably by summertime. Look forward to being able to run something like this. So, what do you think of that one? Are you happy with that one, Aidan? Also, has anyone else got any other suggestions you'd like me to go through? I think I've caught up again with everyone. Now to sell a kidney to get the Kandom models. Love it. Yeah. I have my ways. I can. I'll tell you next time I speak to you. But yeah, really fun army. I don't think you need to run Barrow Whites for this to be competitive. The Shade's quite an interesting profile, but the 0 might that it brings, the fact it doesn't do massive amount, it does like nice little things for you, but nothing amazing. It can give friendly orc models +1 courage, but then I'd just take Aldrak with some Kandom, and that gives you reliable courage without having to waste it on a model like this. Yeah, it makes them a bit harder to shoot at, but a lot of scenarios, if your opponent's shooting you, they're probably messing around with you anyway. Like they're playing it wrong. If they sit and try and shoot you, they might win the battle and break you and that, but they're not going to win by much if they win. So yeah, I think he's a bit of a trap at the minute. I don't think he's good enough Strange that he's got a fate point. I don't quite understand that. So a few people posting here then. So Lord of Nothing. Steve, hello. What about the Legions of Mordor 800? Is it worth taking rather than Corsairs? If you were going to run Corsairs, I wouldn't run Corsair fleets, and I wouldn't run Legions of Mordor, unless we did a list similar to the one I did earlier for you, where we did a mix of Amda, was it Golden King and Delgamar? I think it was. I would personally look at pure Umbar or Grand Army of the South with a mostly Umbar flavour. So predominantly Umbar, Dalamir, Delgamar, Golden King, something like that maybe. Around the 800 mark, pretty good for them. And Benjamin, you were asking about the Watcher. Is the Watcher viable over the other big boys? The Watcher's a good profile. Watcher's a very, very good profile. It's just, it does synergize with the stuff in the list. It's very, very useful within the list. Like you could always pull stuff, if you had the Watcher behind your main lines and you just stood your Cave Drake, for instance, behind the lines with Druzag nearby to enrage it, you can always pull them behind the lines, a hero or something like that. And then even if they survive against the Watcher, or even if they do a wound or two to the Watcher, next turn they're in a really bad spot trapped behind the lines. And if you position yourself well that Druzag definitely can't be tagged that next turn, you get the enraged Cave Drake off. And for a few wounds you took on your Watcher, even if they manage to win the fight against him, you're probably going to kill them with the enraged Cave Drake. So I think there is ways you can make it work, but it's going to have to be higher points levels for it to work. So there's not many tournaments that go past 800. I've not seen a tournament at all be run at 900 points. I'd be very interested to see what 900 points looks like. At 1,000, there were so many tournaments at the end of last year in the UK at 1,000 points, but they were all the same meta. It was all Depths of Moria, Balrog Watcher, and it's just annoying. It shouldn't exist. You shouldn't be able to take both of them together. Moria is much more creative. I really like that you're trying to do it this way. If we did try and build it for you this way, you do Durbers, you do Cave Drake, and we do Watcher. Got 500 points. I think we also want to stick in a Captain just to try and give us some more warband space. Get a Bat Swarm in there just because you want one at least. And if we just span this out now, get the Goblins. You can take some of these with Spears. I'm just going to do this all with shields just so we can see what the warbands would look like. I just want to see how many models I can actually get to before we run out of points for you. Because you don't want this list to be breaking. You need enough Goblins. So look at that. We've got loads of room for more, haven't we? So we can get more might in the list actually, which is useful. So let's upgrade that to a Black Shield Captain. So I've done Shamans, haven't I? Sorry. Whoops. Black Shield Captains, there we go. Because they're D6 with better courage than the normal captains, right? Yeah, they've got better courage as well, which is important. So yeah, if we fill their warbands there. So now we can probably make it a little more elite now. So you can probably get a second Bat Swarm in there. We could probably upgrade Durbers' warband. So you could get yourself some D6, we could get some Black Shield Warriors in there, just in case you were to face some Dwarves. I think I'd be more inclined to get some Prowlers spread around the list. There we go, 15 Prowlers. That's quite a lot in there, isn't it? It gets you quite a lot of throwing weapons. Getting too many throwing weapons now, perhaps, but I can still get more models in this list, so let's get some more models in the list. So we maybe take some of those, so you've got some. Now you can spread these around the warband as you'd like, or I can do it in a moment if you'd really like me to. Maybe get in something like a Warg Marauder. We've still got too many throwing weapons, haven't we? So I will just fix that. So that's 1,000 points if you were doing it, and that'd be a really interesting Moria list. If we go 900, take out something like the Warg Marauder, still try and keep the model count high. I think at 900 you'd probably still want to be around that 60 mark. We'd have to downgrade a lot of these prowlers probably then to something like this. Take one more out. And I'll just take 4 off one of these Warbands. So I went a bit ham because I forgot I was doing 900 points, not 1,000, but this is the 900. Still got a few prowls in there for a few throwing weapons, got a few bows. You could maybe increase that if you wanted to provide more threat to your opponent. They're going to die anyway. The goblins are just there to get in the way and die as slowly as they can. I would definitely go for Black Shield captains in Moria because you are possibly going to break. But this could work. You have all this line of goblins. Watch you behind them. You pull a big hero in, enrage the Cave Drake the next turn. You can even get in the Bat Swarms as well. Druzag enraging, whether it's the Bat Swarm or Cave Drake. That would be a real threat of a list. You've got 11 might on the board. Nice. What do you think of something like that then, Ben? So, going back to you, Steve, Lord of Nothing, is it worth taking Morannons rather than Corsairs? So, Morannons are an expensive profile for what they bring you. So if you have a look at Legions of Mordor, and we just take Witch King a moment, the Morannon Orc is 8 points. They've got shocking fight value, then get to D6, but you're paying a lot for them. All right, the intelligence is a bit better than a normal Orc, but horrible 8 plus courage. You could take Dark Marshal to help with that, definitely. And they do get the +1 fight against men. But they're expensive for what they're giving you. If we built it with, if you were going to go Morannons, I'd say you want Dark Marshal, because that helps them with the courage, which is a major problem for them. If you did something like that, it's nice that their space supports can take Spear and Shield. They're a lot more survivable for you. You're protected against shooting as well. But if we're talking about what we were before, and you're still wanting to try and get Amda in there, 800 points, you then can no longer take Golden King or anything like that. You're probably going to need to take a lesser hero. And there's no Delgamar in this one, is there? He was in the, was it Grand Army of the Southwest? Yeah, whilst engaged in them. Yeah, they can't be just the space supports, but normally if you see them just as space supports for people, Aidan, normally it's just behind Black Numenorians, in which case you've already got the fight value for, so it's usually it's irrelevant. But yeah, Steve, you meant Golden King, Amda with Morannons. Are we still talking about Legions of Mordor? Because I didn't take any Corsairs in this one, did I? They're not even, you can't even take Corsairs in here, can you? You'll have to confirm for me. We were looking at something else. Jackster, hello, welcome back, Jackster. You've been on previous chats as well, haven't you? If the top dogs get nerfed, what do you think will rise up other than Khazad-dûm? Good question. If we have a look through, so the lists that I think really need the nerf, for good, there's not that many. I think they need to get rid of or clarify both as rule. They need to sort out the eagles. They need to fix the fiefdoms. I actually think Khazad-dûm is one of the lists that need the a bit of a nerf. And by nerf, I don't think they need anything massive. I think for the most part, it's pretty good, the list. It's just a stupid dominant 2. This here is so irrelevant, it's so random. It doesn't really make sense why that's the case. And they're already quite a hoardy faction as it is, so it's crazy that they get a dominant 2 as well. I think Men of the West needs one as well, and I think almost the same thing needs doing with them. You just need to take out this dominant 2. It's just, again, so random that they're getting dominant 2 out of nowhere. The rest of it I'm pretty happy with. I think you just need a points increase for Gwahir and Legolas. But otherwise, I think a lot of these are pretty balanced. Of course, I hate Rangers of Mirkwood and Dale, but they don't win tournaments now because of the scenarios go against them, which I kind of like. The Shire needs one with Gandalf's Cart and Lobelia. But otherwise, there's not that much of a problem here. In Evil, you need White Hand to be changed. There's a lot that needs changing in that one. It's too strong at the moment. Depths of Moria, of course, needs a lot changing for that to be right. Dragons need their profile adjusting. And then I think you need Barrow Whites sorting. And I think that's about it for Evil. I don't think there's anything else that's really broken. If they do change those, as I really hope they do, I think you'll see loads that have a choice. If we go through these real quick. So Khazad-dûm, I think, could do well. Army of the Great Eyes got loads of viability. Army of Gundabad trades really well into almost everything except Depths of Moria, White Hand, and Eagles, which are dominant at the minute, but it trades pretty well into the rest. It's a decent army. You just struggle with numbers because everything's so expensive. I think AOL is a tournament winner in waiting. GBHL winner in waiting. Very, very good list. Needs to be played well. It's a heavy thinking list, but very good list still. Bird of Sword, I love it. It'll still be competitive. It just doesn't trade well into White Hand and Depths, which is why you can't take it to hundreds now, because the meta chasers just take it and you end up facing them on the top tables at the end of the tournaments, and not much you can do. I think both Easterling lists are decent. I'm surprised we're not seeing more of them. They could do well. I think there's so many lists here that could have a pretty good chance. Host of the Witch King is definitely a tournament winner in waiting. Great list. Legions of Mordor, even though the army bonus is crap, the stuff that you can take in the list is very good. A lot of choice. Lurtz's Scouts and Ugluk Scouts have already done very well at big events. They'll continue to do well. Minas Morgul will be up there in the meta. Pits is a good list that's being slept on at the minute. I think Grand Army of the South as well. I think I went past it. I think there's a lot of viability there. So many lists I think would be all you've got to do is knock the top 6 or 7 lists down. And I think you've got about 30, 40 lists that all would do pretty well. I think most of the good armies, more so than the evil armies, most of the good armies are pretty good. You just got a few atrocious ones like Arathorn Stand, sadly. And there's a few really bad ones, but most in here would have a decent chance. I think Fornos would definitely be up there in the meta. Last Alliance would be up there in the meta. Defenders of the Hornburg is surprisingly decent, I think. A lot of the dwarf lists do well. Battle of Five Armies, all the soup lists, all of that. So I think there's only a few exceptions here that are just bad lists. We've got a particular person in the chat right now that's proving to everyone in our local area that Linden is a bit of a surprisingly slept-on list that's got some viability. So, yeah, there's a few. I think Rivendell's very, very good list as well. Reclamation of Osgiliath as well. I've seen a lot more of that popping up lately. So, Ben, glad you like the list. And yeah, see if you can try it. Lower points, 450. 500, less big hitters around, maybe it'd do better. Yeah, you're right. We can have a quick look at that actually, and then come back to Steve's request. So with Moria, with the watch, it's 200 points, it's a big investment. Because, again, your model count's going to be quite low, I think you probably still want Durberts because it gives you the warband space. But him and 2 Black Shields, you're going to struggle with your numbers here. It's because the Watcher's independent is such a big problem for you. At 450 maybe. Let's try 450. If you just did him, the Watcher, and a Black Shield, we'll probably get you 28 models at 450. I'll fill it up with goblins, and then I'll see what we've got left and see if I can upgrade to anything better in some of the warbands. It looks like we probably can, but not by much. Maybe just like one or 2 prowlers. Yeah, we can't even do that. It's be 29 models. It's actually not bad model count for 450 points. I probably would take them all with shields. I wouldn't even take any spears. Maybe 1, 2. But I don't think that's a great list, because if you come up against, just say somebody takes any Fight 7 hero, name any Fight 7 hero in the game, Ander, Bolg, anything like this, LSR, they're walking through that list. It's too easy for them. Back to you then, Steve. So it was Grand Army, okay. Is it viable to change of Legions of Mordor and use Morannons rather than Corsairs? I get you now. Okay, right. So if I was to do it as Legions of Mordor instead, and we'd start it the same way, so you do Golden King, Ander, and then you're on about what the 3rd warband would be. Okay, I get you now. So let's do the same Easterling warband as before then, which I believe was this. You can't take any acolytes in this, which is sad. Now we'll come back to the Golden King's warband. So if we weren't taking Delgamar, were we doing 800 points? Was it 700, Steve? Let me go back and have a look, see if I can find it. It was 800. 800. Okay. You've responded. Yeah, perfect. What is a good value hero in this list? I don't think Raza's that amazing here. And because they can't lead Morannons, you'd need to take some sort of hero from evil Mordor. So Gerritz would maybe help with Maelstrom and his cheap move sphere. He's only 2 might. So you would only be on 7 might. We've got the March from the Drums, so it's not like we need a captain or anything like that. You can't really afford someone like Goroth to give you a bit more hitting power. Could just take a Taskmaster. But again, I'd be more inclined to, because your might's already low as it is. Although you're going to be calling moves with Gerritz and probably the Golden King, so maybe a Taskmaster's actually not a bad shout. Yeah, if we do that for you, and this can be a very strong warband for you. The Taskmaster's maybe more of a 1-drop, and it'd be this warband that would be interested just to, again, you've got slightly more limited things available to you. These are 13, so you could take 3 of these. That could work, Steve, something like that. So that would give you 2 very strong D6 back and front warbands. They would go towards your opponent. Keep this warband as your reserve force behind the back to flank or countercharge. Taskmaster to stay near Golden King and Gerritz for them calling moves. Amber will be doing his own thing as your aggressive assassin type model. He gives them a banner. Golden King is a banner, so he can stay near the Morannons. Taskmaster will help maximise your might. 42 models might not seem that much for 800 points for an evil army, but you've got Fight 5 in there in about half the army. Well, about half your main battle line. And then you've got a load of D6 that's survivable, massive hitting hero, really good survivable leader, double banner, covered for Maelstrom. You've got March from that. I could see that working. The only thing I'm missing is it tells me I've got a throwing weapon. Who's got the throwing weapon? Is it the Taskmaster with his whip? It is, isn't it? It'll be the whip. Yeah, I like that. And you've got a little bit of mobility as well. They can run around and stay near Amber, perhaps. What do you think of that? Do you prefer that to going Corsairs? Because it sounds like you don't have Corsairs. And Aidan, you were asking about pits. So pits is a great list all round. I think its minimum is 650, and that is where you just take Azog and the Keeper, and you fill out their warbands. So if you do pits, where is it? Pits, Keeper, White Wag, obviously, and we'll get a load of Gundabad's in. I'm just going to pull up. I've actually got a list already built for this for 650, so I will actually copy it because it's this is how I would recommend you do it. Couple of fell wags, give you a bit of cheap mobility. Hunter Orc wag riders with bows, and then also just a few normal Hunter Orcs with bows. Because they do hit on 4s, so they're not too bad. This is the warband where you want the main bulk of your shield wall. So 10 of those, 4 spears, and a Gundabad banner. Now that there is a 650 point list with 8 might, 2 big threats, big hitting heroes, 6 bows as well, bit of threat, a little bit of mobility here, really strong D6. You've got 16 D6 models in there, few spears behind them to keep behind the Keeper, and the banner, keep it safe. A little bit of cheap mobility as well. I think that's the one to kind of go with at 650. However, I don't think that's the optimal point level for the list. I think ideally you want to be at about 780, 800 is where it's at its absolute best, I'd say. You get some more Gundabads in there. Just gives you a better model count. 15, you probably just get another Hunter Orc Wide Rider or something like that in. Or if I drop one more, actually. You could get a little bit of cheap mobility. You can get yourself an extra Hunter Orc with a bow. Something like that. 43 models at 800 points. You've got a really good might tally at 10. You've got an extra captain, so you're not having to waste their might calling stuff. He can run and stay close to it all and positioned carefully. You've got extra D6 in there. You've got a little more extra fast mobility, an extra bow. I think that's the best way of running it, about 800. But I think it can work at 650 and above with the one I showed you before. So if you just take out that Hunter Orc Captain Warband. I'd also say you always want to go for the Hunter Orc Captain mounted over the Gundabad Captain. The Gundabad Captain's amazing and good value. Fight 5, Strength 5, D7, decent courage as well, compared to the Hunter Orc Captain, which is rubbish across the board. But the fact it can be mounted and it's got 4 attacks on the charge against infantry. If you come up against a lot of the if you come up against a lot of the hoardy, low fight value lists, like Depths of Moria, for instance, if you keep this guy away from the Balrog at the far end of the lines, and you get him going into goblins, 4 attacks, knocking him down, strength 4, he's very, very reliable, and he absolutely massacres them. It's great fun. There we go. Glad you like the list, Steve, as well, the Grand Army one. So yeah, give that a go and see what you think. Any list from anyone finally? If not, I might call it there. Actually, it's 9:30 now, and my voice feels like it's getting a little tired from my non-stop monologuing. But hope you've all enjoyed this. If there is any final requests, if you put them through, I'll quickly try and do those. If not, nothing comes through for 30 seconds, I will finish there. But if you have enjoyed the stream and what I'm doing here, the time I try and put into it, got the links to the Spotify, the Patreon, things like that. Got any suggestions as well? I always give the Patreon subscribers the first dibs, essentially, on me going through their list suggestions first on these live streams, so they definitely get prime spot and my first attention to look at it. Hi there, Callus. Quick reclamation list at 750. Yeah, go on then. Let's have a look. Reclamation. So we have Boromir as an automatic. You want Faramir in the list for definite. They don't have March on either of those two, do you? No. So there is an argument to take the captain. He said 750 points though, so we can probably afford both. We'll give that a try. But then you want the banner, you want the horse, you want the shield on him. So we have gone quite expensive there now. So it probably is one or the other. Madrill's 3 might, but you probably don't need his might. You're probably better with the captain. You've already got enough might on everyone else anyway. So let me just remind myself what the Osgiliath veterans do. They reroll 1s when making strikes, and they've got Hatred Mordor. But that is it. They've got better courage. To be fair, D6 is really good in my opinion. There's not that many Fight 4 armies out there, and if there is, you're generally out fighting them with these anyway, so I wouldn't be that worried about them. So I'd probably take some Osgiliath veterans as a front line, and then we'd go Warriors of Minas Tirith as the back line. Don't need a banner or anything like that. Probably have a couple of ranges in there for a little bit of threat. Make this guy a shield wall as well. So it's within 6 of them as well, so it's quite big. So I'll probably have Osgiliath veterans as the front line, if I'm honest. Probably not helping you here, because you'd have to do some conversions, and not many people own Osgiliath veterans, but I actually think this is the one list I probably would take them. Because you're only strength 3 with a lot of your troops in this army. There's no like 2-handing or anything like that. So you need any wounding help you can get. So the fact they reroll natural 1s and it's within 6 inches of either of them, I would probably spam out a front line of them. Is he the only one that can lead knights, by the way? Have I missed that? No, you can get knights in the other. Okay, I'll just make sure we're putting knights in his list. His warband. I'm a little concerned I don't have enough ranges to give me some shooting. What did he say? 750 points, wasn't it? No, I need some knights in the list. Four bows? Oh yeah, Faramir's got a bow. I was wondering why that was. Yeah, the maths isn't quite working out for me as I wanted. They're 9 points, they're 10 points, 10 points. 10 and 10s are not going to make this maths work. So I'm not going to hit a good points level. I need to reduce If we reduced that and went for Rangers, that might change it a little bit. So at least it's moving. There we go. Then you can get a 9. Controversial take, drop Faramir. No, mate, absolutely not. He's a good profile, Faramir. So I'd go with something like that. I think, Callis, hopefully that helps you. Yeah, I don't think dropping Faramir is a good call, because I think this is the one list where you will get more value out of the Osgiliath veterans. Faramir also gives you a secondary hitter. The fact he's fight 6, he's only strength 4, granted. He's not amazing in actually doing damage, but 3 might. The fact he gives you these, all the free stuff, the heroic defense, resistant to magic. There's also, when you get broken, he can reroll fail to wounds, and he can call a free heroic resolve to protect Boromir. I think you absolutely 100% want Faramir in this list. But yeah, 38 models is pretty good here, considering almost your entire list is D6, very survivable. Oz veterans will almost always be within 6 inches of one of the 2 brothers rerolling 1s. 11 might's fantastic. 6 bows just to pepper your opponent. And yeah, 9 might if you really need to just burn it all in one place to get something off the board. You've also got 4 knights here with Boromir, so you've got plenty of mobility. I like that list. I've seen a lot of people building Reclamation recently, and I've been playing against it a lot. I've not seen anyone build it like this, but this is what I think is the most competitive, maybe correct way of building it. Might have just discovered something for you there. And it kind of fits quite nicely. It's just got good symmetry to it, that list. I like that list. 38 models, 750 dead on the nose. Yeah, the only thing I'm sad about is that Rangers, there's just 2 of them. I like them being in 3s. Anyway, there we go. 9:30 now then, so I'll call it there. But thanks very much, everyone, for taking part and listening. Enjoyed it again, as always. I'll try and book in another one. And you're welcome, Ben. Take care, everyone. Have a nice evening.